Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and I saw Shazam! Fury of the Gods and it sucked. Now believe me when I say this folks, but I loved the first Shazam. It is honestly one of my favorite comic book movies ever. I literally watch it every Christmas. It's hilarious, the characters are lovable, it's action-packed, the story is great, it's dark and even horrific at times, and it also contains that secret ingredient that The Incredibles also had that made it a powerful superhero movie, no pun intended, and that is, it is a family film disguised as a superhero movie. Yeah, it has the typical comic book movie stuff in it, but at its core, it's about the importance of family and acceptance, and I thought that film just handled it superbly, and I was really looking forward to this movie. The trailers and everything I saw about it got me excited. The trailers themselves looked really good, and considering how much I loved the first film, I was just so pumped up to see this. I could not wait to see this. But unfortunately, everyone, not only did this movie disappoint me, I actually kinda hated it. I was so let down by this movie. Let's start off with the positives. First off, that family dynamic and those likable characters are still likable enough, and anytime the film chooses to explore this topic, it definitely is one of the standout moments of the film. It's not as well put together or as strong as the first film's portrayal of these themes and messages, but I did appreciate them exploring a bit more about the family topics, and it was still really sweet to see the family come together, or anytime they were just on screen, their chemistry was really strong and really charming. They were all really charming and likable, but more on them later. Occasionally, the film can offer a good joke or gag. I didn't really laugh as much or as consistently or as loud or hard as I did in the first film, but whenever the film had a couple good jokes spread across here and there, I cannot deny that they didn't at least make me chuckle or grin. And the last positive thing I can say about this movie is that the pacing is very good here. The movie is 2 hours, but it's never felt that way. It moved by at such a brisk pace, so at the very least, I can say it doesn't really waste your time. It just does what it needs to entertain you, and as quickly and as fast as possible, and I think they succeeded at that for sure. And now on to the many problems I had with this movie. First off, the story here is way too overstuffed and screams sequelitis. It seemed when this film was initially pitched, they wanted to make the villains based off of Black Adam, of course, but I guess Dwayne Johnson didn't want to play ball, and I guess the studio executives didn't want Dr. Savannah again, because maybe that would have felt like a retread of the first film, so they had to do whatever they could have thought of to make this movie stand out and be a worthy successor to Shazam, and unfortunately it just comes so short of that. The story here is just way too overstuffed. There's too many plot lines and characters going on here, and it was surprising to see how unbalanced this movie was, because I felt like the first film was able to balance everything out, all of its characters, because there's a large roster of characters in the previous film, but they were able to balance them all out and make it tight and strong. Here, there are so many plot lines that are established in the beginning, and they are completely glossed over, and they don't really get to establish that. The whole family themes and messages, while still really strong, aren't as focused as much as I would have liked. That's what really worked with the first film, but they're glossed over instead to focus on these villains who are lame and I don't really care about. More on them later. And again, just way too much stuff happening all at once that I just didn't really care enough to get invested with the movie overall. The characters here also got the shaft here, starting with Shazam themselves, because it's two different people, I guess. What I don't like about them, their portrayal in this movie, is that they don't feel like they're the same person. Don't get me wrong, Zachary Levi and Asher Angel did a good job playing their characters, but there's such a divide. It's so noticeable with how they're playing their characters. It was excusable in the first film because you barely noticed it, plus in that movie he was 13, so you could understand how Zachary Levi would play up the comedy. Here, Asher Angel is turning 18 soon, and the way he's playing it is a lot more straight and serious, where Zachary Levi is playing up the comedy and the lightheartedness of it all. And there's just this big divide, and I never bought that they were the same person, really. And as well as for the family, the Shazamily, if you will, while they weren't hateable, they weren't likable, I didn't get their purpose in this movie. The parents were barely in it, and the other family members didn't really have a whole lot to do here. They're just kind of there for the ride. You don't get to explore a whole lot about themselves. They don't do much, really, and that was really disappointing. The only real family member who gets to do more of this is Freddy, and even with him, he's just used as a MacGuffin and just a buddy for Jimon Hansu on their side quest. As for the villains, I could care less for them. The actresses did a good job playing their characters, but the way they were written and even their motivations, for some of them, didn't make a whole lot of sense, and I was just really confused by why they did or why they changed their ways for certain things and aspects of the movie. It was just very strange. This movie is also shockingly unfunny. Outside of the couple times I laughed or chuckled here and there, a lot of the comedy just felt flat on its face for me. The jokes were so poorly timed, they felt really awkward and unnatural, and I don't know. The comedy just didn't work. It was just not funny, and which sucks because the first one is hilarious and has so many great gags, but this one just doesn't have any of that, lacked the wit. Even the action scenes I found to be really lackluster in here. There were a couple of standouts, like the opening scene on the bridge. That was kind of cool, but especially in the second half of the film, I just found a lot of the action sequences to have this low energy to them. Like, it never felt like nothing was really at stake or there was no real threat or danger involving these characters. They all were all very slowly paced, and the way these sequences were put together just didn't make these sequences fun or exciting to me, unfortunately. So in the end, everyone, unfortunately, Shazam! Fury of the Gods was a big disappointment. Outside of the couple of positives I stated earlier, like the characters, some of the comedy, and the fast pace of the film, for the most part, this movie let me down. The story was overstuffed and had way too much going on. The characters weren't as interesting or didn't even have that much to do in the movie. The comedy was really bad, and even the action didn't do anything for me, unfortunately. It sucks to say this, but honestly, I cannot recommend going check this out at the theater right now. You're honestly better off waiting till this drops on HBO Max. This was just such a huge letdown, and again, it sucks to say this because I love the first Shazam and I was really looking forward to this, but man, this movie did not deliver. I really did not like this movie. And those were my thoughts on Shazam! Fury of the Gods. What did you all think of this movie if you've seen it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links at the end of the video. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.
I don't wanna grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't wanna grow up,
I'm a Toys R Us kid.
they got the best for so much less.
You'll really flip your lid.
From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is. Gee whiz!